Hi, so I'm Caley. I'm just going to be talking about what we sort of went over this year in research methods. So essentially what we did, what the goal of the course was to be able to design our own research experiment. So we started off small, we did a correlational study, and I think the hardest part about that was trying to figure out what we wanted to look at, what we wanted to study, what we wanted to find out. And we took a poll. The overwhelming sort of idea had to do with well-being, just because it's a large part of our lives and how we live as students. So I think that played a really big role. So what we did was then come up with this idea for a correlational study of how does smartphone use affect our well-being, our psychological well-being. And so what we did was we reached out to all of our social medias, just send out a survey and had it be what it basically was we were testing the amount of smartphone use, both passive and active, and then however much, also including the total, and then however they answered a Spain test, which was essentially just a positive and negative affect for your emotions, sort of what you were feeling within the past 3 weeks, and then a life satisfaction survey, which both had a decent amount of reliability and have been tested in several studies. And so, yeah, we went ahead and put that up. That was up for about 48 hours, and then we stopped the survey and we did data analysis. Yeah, so what we did was sort of find the main takeaways from our correlational study and figure out a way to turn those into a causational study. And what we found was the biggest statistical significance, really the only statistical significance, was between negative affect and high smartphone use. And so with that, we decided, okay, so for a causational study, how can we do this within the parameters of this class? And what we found out was we can't, or at least we can't do it the same way that we did the correlational study. So what we ended up doing was, okay, let's test it on ourselves. So from there, it was how far can we take this? So what we did was within a 24-hour period. Well, first of all, we took a sort of baseline Spain scale and life satisfaction scale and saw how our emotions were, how our well-being was before we just stopped cold turkey with our phones. And then from there, we decided that for the next 24 hours, we would be without our smartphones, and then take the same survey again. And so with that, we made the idea of like the exclusion criteria and what exactly counted as an emergency and so on and so forth. But I mean, obviously with the much smaller sample size, 353 versus 14, those are rough estimates. But there's not the same sort of external validity that you can take away. And then with the causational study, we also had to do a within subjects test in order to increase our power because we knew we would have such a small sample size regardless. And then from that, what we saw was as smartphone use, as you took it away, you found an increase in positive affect and a significant decrease in negative affect. So there is some sort of relationship here. We just need to go a step farther and figure out what exactly is happening and figure out, is there a third variable that we can test that maybe plays a role in both of these things? So that's sort of where the future studies can go. But essentially that's what this class was, and sort of figuring out statistical analysis and deciding how to conduct a research study. And I think it's very beneficial to sort of see from the ground up how to work things, starting with a correlational, finding a relationship and building off of it. It was a really interesting process to be a part of, and it was really eye-opening. So yeah, that was our research methods class. Thanks.